Okay, we're going to continue on with Cayce, Dolores Cannon, Baba Vanga. Why am I continually choosing them? There's so much that they have shared that we really haven't tapped into, and it is pertaining to exactly this moment in time. How do we know that? Because they never named dates, because all the things that they did predict, prophecy would happen, and certain things would converge are all happening now. So we have to line up all these events and say, yes, it's 2026. Now, how do we handle this? Because today I went much deeper into the questions of how do we actually daily handle this? Because there is a 90-10 split that is referred to often. 90% of the planet will not participate in the New World. Now, that seems insane, and everything's possible. Everyone has choice. So anyone can be of the 10%. But why is it? And how do you stay in the 10% in a 90% world that's so destructive? It's go time right now. Buckle up. And I'm serious about this because we don't have any more time. I'll explain how that works too. I'll see you in a moment in detail about Baba Vanga, Edgar Cayce, Dolores Cannon, and their responses to how you and I can go into that new world right now. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fear and live an amazing life. Okay, so we talked about the Lemurians. What are those? The Lemurians, according to Edgar Cayce, were the spiritual forms that came down here. And Monica, one of my members, said that was a 90-10, that they were 90% spirit, 10% density, but eventually they turned into mostly density, and that's when we got in trouble. They started out knowing what they are, trying to explore a teaching planet, and yes, became separate, went from androgyny to male, female, and then became imbalanced there. So you might want to go watch that video. I think it's interesting. I think there's something to that. Now, what I want to do today, I took the three prophets and I dug a little deeper and I asked questions like, exactly how does this work? And are we actually still kidding ourselves about where we are spiritually? We had a range of apocalyptic forecasts. However, all of them said that this is in our hands. We must come to the conclusion right now that we are the co-creators. And the programming tells us we're not, because those who came in the imbalance wanted to control through finances and really you say enslavement, but in a way keeping us the worker bees and believing that that system is the way we have to live, and we're still in it. Right? How do you get out of it? Well, it is possible. We're going to talk about that today because more people are getting out of it. And the more people who do make those choices and stop blaming the lower frequencies who are exploring the dark side, we don't have to worry about that. You have to think about where you are, because your actions and beliefs right now are what will change the planet. Now, we're going to go deep into this. So Baba Vanga, if you don't know her, she's a Bulgarian mystic. She warned of a cataclysmic, catastrophic global war. Now, I just did a video on the Hopi, and the Hopi have 3 world events. We have a third one waiting to happen. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a military war. It could be some huge cataclysmic event. They did admit this. There's devastating climate disasters. Of course, we've heard this, especially from Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce also said, we're in control of that everything, because it is one, is a reflection, a mirror of us. That which you see out there, including those wars, including the solar flares, including the cataclysmic world events on our planet, the volcanoes, all these things, are a direct reflection of our frequency. He said the lower frequency, the more you're going to see that reflection in eruptions of these events. We are in control. How many of you are still looking at predictions and you believe that the prediction is how it is, and that we are going to live our life accordingly after the event happens, instead of we create the new earth with our vibration, our love, our compassion? No more judging, no more nasty comments, all right, please. And therefore that changes How many of you actually believe that? I'll bet you a very small percentage. I'll bet you guys are still going to all these sites of predictions and channelers and all this stuff. So and so said, and there's no one person who's going to give you that answer because if they're channeling any one entity or even a group, it's still part of the illusion. There's always another reality waiting. Okay, and all of us live on this planet together. Yes, it's an illusion, it's a game. As I shared, those of you who are my members, I shared with Michelle, I said, yes, we are all in it together. It is an illusion together. However, your personal reality could be very different to mine on the same planet. It's like Pac-Man. We all chose Pac-Man. So yes, we're in Pac-Man. We're not playing Donkey Kong. All right, that's later on. We played Pac-Man, but my journey to the leaderboard might be completely different than yours. Right? Depending on the decisions you make, that's all it is. But it's still a game. And what happens at the end, that depends on you and your choices. And that result is going to be whatever you go to after here. Now, I want to just share with you, whatever you do here, there are consequences. There's cause and effects, not punishment. It's not punishment. If you jump in the ocean and you can't swim, you're going to drown. Cause and effect. It's simple. It doesn't judge. So I want you to know if you're having negative thoughts, if you're judging, this is boomeranging back to you because you and it are one. I'm choosing it. I'm thinking I'm creating it. All right. So I want you to know that because whatever we're going to talk to right now depends completely on that choice you make here of what you do, who you blame. This is bad. That's bad. That's ego. And ego will always put you in a space of unhappiness because it wants something from the people, the government, the corporate. It wants something. And if it doesn't happen the way the ego thinks it should, it's unhappy and you will spend your lifetime unhappy. We're going to talk today about how you can change all of that. So we're going to talk about Dolores Cannon, her theories on a consciousness shift where individuals transition into a higher vibrational reality. That is happening. It's happening right now, my friend. You can be a part of it. It's beautiful. What are the specific global predictions for 2026? That it begins. It begins. This is not an overnight thing. So those of you thinking that the Chris Bledsoe thing, somebody's going to show up and the whole world will, shift, that's not going to happen. It is a gradual thing. Some people will believe, some will not. I'm going to talk about Baba Vanga's prediction of alien craft landed. Yeah, she talked about that. Dolores Cannon talked about that. All right, let's go through it. World War III. We keep hearing this is nothing to fear. We can shift anything. I want you to know, I want you to take your worst enemy, the one you hate the worst, and some of you, we know who that might be. There's some of you absolutely cannot stand this person. What if you sent light and love? That's what Christ would do. You don't have to be a Christian to believe that because that is the ultimate thing. That's the ultimate space for you to go to on this planet. It's all about that. No point is war, physical war, ever acceptable in the new earth. I just want you to know that. So you have to ask yourself if you're still thinking that way. If you are, then you will remain the 90% that resolves problems that way. So the multiple reports attribute to the mystic Baba Vanga a prediction that a large-scale global war will begin. And she never gave a date, but we're looking at 2026. It's expected to start in the east, spread to the west, potentially involving the United States, Russia, and China. Forecasts suggest a significant expansion of China's influence and a shift of global power toward Asia. Based on biblical chronology, identifies this time period as the commencement of the 7-year tribulation period. 7 years, and we've talked about this. People are talking about going into the 2030s. There is going to be a time period where big changes are going to happen and things are going to dissolve. They are not going to happen overnight. So buckle up and be a part of the change in the positive direction. We keep talking about the fall of 2026. Chris Bledsoe has. Baba Vanga talked about this. The rise of the Antichrist. This year, this specific year that all these things are going to go haywire, is predicted to see the removal of the Holy Spirit's restraining ministry, allowing for the unveiling of the Antichrist, the man of lawlessness, and his acceptance by the unbelieving world. Is it possible this is already going on? I don't know. You get to decide that. technological and extraterrestrial predictions. AI domination, Baba Vanga and Nostradamus, will bring him into this today, are both cited as predicting that artificial intelligence will reach a turning point. I think it's just starting right now. I don't think we're at the turning point yet. I think we're going to see this in maybe 2027 and the years past that. We're already seeing that it could go in a direction that's not real healthy. Why? There's nothing wrong with AI. It's who's behind the wheel. The same people that run everything else that has put us into a box. Guys, ready to get out of the box? I am. It will begin to control human life, taking over jobs, affecting personal relationships and basic routines. It's still a choice. You do not have to participate in these things. Yes, it will go on. This is the teaching planet. First alien contact, a sensational prediction. Supposedly November 2026 again. Supposedly, Baba Vanga said there's going to be the arrival of a large spacecraft on Earth. Now, I just want to remind you, nobody wrote this. She didn't write this stuff down. This is by other people who have shared these predictions. This is marking the first official contact between humans and extraterrestrial life. We're seeing that there are orbs, non-human entities, things that are way beyond something from another planet. We're going to learn more about that. And this year, we're going there. We're already going there. And now, if you believe this is all evil, you'll create that and you'll connect to that because there are people in the basement and there are people in the penthouse, just like everything else out there. It's a range of experiences and adventures. Whatever frequency you're on, what's a frequency? What's your mindset? Is it positive? Is it negative? Whatever you're on, you're going to get on the floor with that frequency, and that's what you're going to connect with. So if those of you saying there's things evil, there's somebody stopping me, I'm saying, no, nobody's stopping you. Nothing can stop you. You have total control. You're equal. You're equal, but if you don't believe that, or you're in a low frequency, you're down in the basement. And of course, they're going to attack you, and you're in fear. You got to raise it. The spiritual and physical evolution, the split of Earth, according to Dolores Cannon, who supposedly this year, is a critical threshold where the frequency divergence between old Earth, 3D, and new Earth, 5D. We talked about fifth race, the Hopi, Edgar Cayce, the fifth race. How many times do we have to hear the fifth? It becomes undeniable and experiential. We're going to experience it. We already are. Let's talk of biological upgrades. Many individuals are predicted to experience ascension symptoms. We have been doing that. Their bodies are recalibrating to higher frequencies. We got really dense bodies and then these expansive spirits that rule all of this. Well, of course, the body has to make some changes. We know the DNA has been sitting dormant for a while, and there's so much that's going to be fired off, and you're going to have some abilities that will blow your mind. You think of stuff, things shows up, so watch those thoughts. It is the year for you to claim your co-creation abilities, that you are one. So exhaustion that sleep cannot fix, brain fog, 3 a.m. wake-ups, we're going to talk about that. Increased sensitivity to food and loud environments, you guys have talked about that. All right. Reality acceleration, a mechanical shift in consciousness is expected to occur where the manifestation gap closes. This one's really interesting, meaning thoughts and intentions manifest into physical reality at a dramatically higher speed than in the past. Simultaneous time perception. Humans may begin to shift from navigating time linearly to perceiving it simultaneously, leading to timeline bleed thoughts and precognitive knowing. In other words, if you're aware of other timelines, you're aware of things that are going to happen, and you're aware of things in the past also, which, by the way, your thoughts actually change the past. We're not going to go on that today. We're going to see environmental economic crisis. It has to collapse. I'm fine with that. Natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and this could alter 7 to 8% of Earth's landmass. Again, what are your thoughts? We're contributing to that. Economic instability, it's going to be continued financial distress, including bank stress, currency disruptions, rising inflation. Guess what that is? The collapse of the systems that's keeping you and I miserable. Biblical sorrows, increasing famines, pestilence, and earthquakes are described as the beginning of sorrows leading into the final age. Sorrows. That's that sadness. That's that part that we have control over. We can avoid it. We are directly connected to the sun, the planets, the stars. There's no separation in energy of any kind. Let's talk about the 90-10 pattern. Cannon sessions suggest that 90% of people may be left behind. I'm going to tell you right now, there's no such thing as being left behind. It's just one game. You lost this one, and you're going to have to go back and play it again until you master it. Okay? So nobody gets left behind because you're eternal. How's that even possible? But let's just flow with this. In the old frequency, 90% in the old frequency, because their inner state remains contingent on external circumstances. Those who have developed internal stability independent of the environment are expected to successfully navigate the ship. They see it for what it is. The timeline purge. Individuals may experience a timeline purge where long-term relationships and community connections drift away because they no longer resonate at the same frequency level. Geopolitical, biblical, and spiritual predictions all align right now to tell us 2026 is this year of great change. We're in it. Just say, quit waiting for it. It's happening right now. And if you are not experiencing it, it's time to get on board. So I wanted to know more about this spacecraft prediction. I think this is going to shake up people. And I also believe that we're going to, if we go into a higher frequency, all of records and other things will be revealed because we have said open sesame. We have said open sesame, and they will appear, and we're going to go, we are what? Edgar Cayce has been saying this for how long now? Nobody's really paying attention to that. I've never even heard of the Lemurians. Maybe you have. I'm not up on that stuff. Why? If it doesn't pertain to what's going on right now, but I'm going to tell you what, we're going to find out, holy crap, everything we've been told has been a lie, a manipulative lie. The arrival of a large spacecraft, according to media reports and interpretations of her prophecies, once again, she described a large object or spacecraft entering Earth's atmosphere during a specific month, supposedly November of this year. This event's predicted to mark the first official contact between humans and extraterrestrial life. They've been here for a long time. I wanted to know about the spiritual transition mechanics. According to Dolores Cannon, March 2026 serves as a critical inflection point where a theoretical frequency split becomes an undeniable lived experience. And here are the mechanics of that. Reality acceleration, a change in the playback speed of life where time feels compressed and cause and effect loops shorten dramatically, which I mentioned earlier. The experience shifts from low linear walking through time to a more rapid navigation where months of growth or change happens in weeks, where all of a sudden you're just in space. So many of you, and I personally feel like something just shifted. I'm not the same person anymore. Manifestation collapse time, the buffer between a thought or intention and its physical manifestation is closing. Watch those thoughts. In the new frequency, internal states produce external consequences with uncomfortably fast feedback. So if you've got nasty stuff going on in your life, it's happening quicker so that you can start changing that right now. Take a look at it. This isn't serving me. Let it go. I'm on the teaching planet. This applies to both positive alignment and habitual fear or anxiety. So those of you in a higher frequency are going to see some really amazing things show up. Simultaneous time perception. Let's go a little more into that. Human consciousness is beginning to shift from linear, past, present, future, to preceding multiple moments or alternative timelines simultaneously. This can result in timeline bleed-throughs. Individuals remember events that did not occur in their current timeline. You may have the déjà vu or know that something happened, and you can't explain it because that wasn't in your history. All these timelines are going to bleed in together. Pay attention to that. It's pretty cool. Frequency-based reality selection. Reality is described as broadcasting on multiple stations simultaneously. The transition mechanic involves becoming conscious of how your internal frequency, your dominant emotional and belief state, deliberately selects which version of reality you experience. You could be in the same room with somebody experiencing something completely different. Why? Because you perceive it differently. Your thoughts and beliefs and perception of what's happening is what creates your reality. And therefore, it's a boomerang. It comes right back to you too. So you're like having a bad day the next day, all these other things happen because you're in that lower frequency space, and that's what you're aligned with. This is what you need to watch. Let's talk about the 9-10 sorting mechanic. A major part of the transition mechanics is the sorting of the population. Internal stability. Data from thousands of sessions suggests that roughly, this is Dolores Cannon, 10% of people successfully navigate the shift because their internal state is independent of external circumstances. They're not analyzing, they're not blaming, they're not judging, they're not separating, they're not taking sides. They are going internal and they realize none of that matters. My reaction and my thoughts and beliefs, my actions are what counts. Everything else is just a test and other people's choices, not to be judged. The remaining 90% may remain in the old frequency band because their emotional state mirrors their environment, rising with good news and crashing with bad news. So you still have some lows, challenges that's still going to happen while you're here, but it's this. So it doesn't matter what anybody else is telling you. If you're not working on this and getting rid of all that crap that you've created about how things work, I told somebody today, most powerful words, three most powerful words. No, it's not I am God. It's I don't know. To navigate these mechanics, here are specific physical and mental interventions. You're going to love this. Frequency interruption is the most important. Manage the closing manifestation gap. You must interrupt fear loops. Interrupt it with physical inputs like cold water, specific breath patterns before the neurological state locks in. Individuals are advised to practice 10 to 20 minutes of input silence, receiving no audio or visual content to give the system bandwidth to complete calibration. No audio or visual content. Physical coherence, bare feet on the ground. I walk around barefoot all day. And time outside without devices are recommended. Sensory inputs to signal to the nervous system that the environment is stable enough to continue the adaptation process. Earthing. I told you guys, I go outside barefoot in the grass and do my stretching exercises. My neighbors do watch me. Yes. I'm like, come down and join me. And I walk around barefoot all day. So I'm going to continue this on Wednesday. I'm going to do a part 2 so that you can take in all this stuff. My next question is, how does the 3 a.m. wake up connect to spiritual downloads? I'm going to explore, why does internal stability determine who navigates the 90-10 split? I'm really interested in that. And then I have another question, and I'm going to answer this for you. How can you maintain internal stability through environmental exposure? That's going to be a big one because stuff's going to happen. It's going to trigger you. Shut her down. If you hear anything out there, it's negative. Channelers, anything. They are still human beings and they're getting it from one source. I don't buy it. And there's some great information out there. Most of it's very fearful about Pleiadians and reptilians and all this stuff. That's part of the illusions. We are just pure energy. Everything else is made up. It's all made up. But we chose to explore it, and it seems pretty darn real. You're going to get to the point this year, if you're part of the 10%, you're going to know it's not real, and you're going to go along with it because you know it's just not real, and that you can manipulate it any way you want. But you want to do it from the high frequency because it's going to affect everyone, because you know you're one with everyone, and that what you do is going to affect your neighbor, and that's going to come back to you, right? Because you can manipulate things on a low frequency. You can make some bad stuff happen to other people who are especially in fear. They may take it on. That's how voodoo and stuff works, you know? It can affect other people if they accept it. There are consequences to everything. You don't want that. Send your light, send your love. And as I shared with one of my members today, I said, you don't have to approve of anybody. You don't have to say they're right. It doesn't make them right. In fact, the worse they are, the more you're going to say it's not okay. But if I don't send my light to you, who am I? Who am I to not do that? I am part of the hatred and the anger and the separation. And if anybody makes any nasty comments, I always know they're coming from a place of real frustration and anger. And that hurts my heart because I know that they're sad and they're striking out at people they don't even know on the internet. Bullies don't pick on bigger bullies. They pick on the little guys. And guess who's going to inherit the earth? The meek, not the weak, the meek. The meek do not have to do anything physically. They are going to control the planet on the highest possible level in peace and love, and you can't escape it. And when you're around them, you're going to feel it, and you either go with it or you can battle it all you want, but you have no control or power over the meek. They're in love and they find it entertaining that anybody would think that they could have that kind of power. And yes, there are things that can be done in the physical world, but when you're the 10%, you know that that's not real either, that it's just a dissolving of the physical 3D body that was quite heavy and confining to begin with. And then you go off to whatever else. Is that the worst case scenario? Guess what? You're going to leave at some point. Celebrate getting older. Celebrate your experiences. Celebrate your challenges. And look at everything exactly the way you want to. 10% participation, and that is I mastered it. I don't have to come back and do it. I know how to do it. And if you do come back, you'll know how to navigate up. I don't want to come back personally. I don't know about you. So we're going to do part two, and I'm going to address these very important questions and get you on track to be the 10%. I know you want to do it. That's why we came here, right? Get ready for amazing things and start to go into that space. Just lay in bed and open up your heart. Shut everything down and connect to that which is you. It's not a person or an archangel or whatever. Yes, they do exist. Those are illusions too on higher levels. Just connect to that pure, perfect energy that says, we don't have to have any discussions. There's nothing to talk about. Only the ego wants answers. You'll lay there in bliss and know that if you have a thought, you're going to start to see it show up. And you won't choose the negative thoughts. You won't choose the self-sabotage or I don't love myself. What's not to love? Look at you. What's not to love? Do you know how amazing you are? I hope that you'll subscribe and I hope you'll share my videos everywhere. I want YouTube to know that this is what we're choosing, that we are aware. We're not, sticking our head in the sand. We're aware of what's going on out there, and it's going to get much more intense because, 3D fights like hell to keep their position. It's not going to work if you don't participate. Stop participating and quit the plastic, would you? You are whole and perfect. Oh, by the way, go down the description and you can purchase items from companies that don't do that. Let's support them. Blue Land's one of them. You get a discount. Get a water purifier so that you're not drinking, and get a metal container and fill it up. Get rid of all that plastic. If you're buying anything in packaging, it has preservatives and toxins in it. Let's try and buy. Today I bought all natural things that were on the shelf with no plastic in it. I brought my little bags. Start living that life. I have a channel called Chic Sustainability, and I'm going to teach all of that over there. That's what I'm focusing on now, the new earth that we're living in, not creating online businesses anymore. Those of you who did that, congratulations. That's an amazing thing. But I'm going to focus on showing regular people the purchases and things they can do of what they already own and have. We don't need another t-shirt. We don't need more new stuff. And yes, you're not going to be perfect all the time, but just when you have a choice, make the highest one. I'll see you on Wednesday for part two of this. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my absolute perfect light being. As I say all the time, your tattered robes, those pockets are full of jewels you just haven't reached in yet. They're there. They're not out there or in a channeler or in a horoscope. They're right here, and they are all things. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.